And with that, it's time for breaking news. Our first story, if you watched the Game Awards or decided to watch this afterwards, probably because you heard this news story, I can't imagine any other reason really you would watch this trailer. The game Catly debuted a fully CGI, no gameplay trailer, and a lot of its look made people think it was made using generative AI. To which the studio responded, no, we didn't, and people didn't really believe them, so they had to put up some gameplay footage.
Forced to show gameplay footage for their upcoming game.
Heaven forbid. I mean, I having seen the gameplay footage, it looked like it could have used a little bit more time in the oven.
That's why we're trying to buy time with the trailer.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at a GameDeveloper.com article here. Catly developer denies it's using generative AI or blockchain technology in its cute cat game. The at a glance says that at the Game Awards, they unveiled a trailer for its game Catly for PC, Apple Watch, and Nintendo Switch. Hell of a fucking slice there.
Apple Watch.
And so basically, game developer or whoever reached out to them to ask about how much AI was used, and the quotes include, "We did not use generative AI to produce the video in the game. In fact, we are very surprised by such speculation. We do not think there are any existing AI tools that could produce a video like that. Industry experts have echoed this opinion." They also go on to say, no, there's nothing with the blockchain or NFTs or any of that. There are no NFTs. Our company project has never issued any blockchain currency and any NFTs. Our company does not and has never owned any blockchain currency and NFTs, hitting all these points home because the only reactions to this trailer, to the debut, to the announcement of this game to the world, were just thousands upon tens of thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people saying, this looks like AI. What's this AI game doing at the Game Awards?
So, who here has seen that trailer specifically?
I have seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So, I saw the trailer, and I saw it after people had said, because I didn't watch the game trailers live. I mean, the game trailers. I didn't watch the Game Awards.
You're not wrong.
You might as well fucking call the game trailers 2024.
Anyway, I didn't watch the Game Awards live, so I saw it after the fact, after people were already saying this is an AI thing, and it's like, I looked at it and was like, I get where you're coming from. Some of it has the vibe of what people do when they make AI generated videos and stuff, but it did not look like an AI generated video to me.
No, I didn't really feel that way either when I saw it. But I mean, like the reason why AI stuff looks like that is that's a general aesthetic that a lot of people sadly like. I mean, in some cases, it's kind of a shame because there's people who've done like art that's been super popular and therefore gotten scraped by AI, and now it's the AI look instead of that artist work.
Like, we're talking like for people at home, like dreamscapey, surreal, like things melting into one another. Because
it didn't really, none of it melted in though. That's like, there was no like obvious signs of like, you know, things morphing or warping into anything. It was very dreamy though.
Also, we all know AI trailers are just people looking at stuff or at the camera, so it wasn't that.
So now I have seen the trailer. It turns out things have changed, and yeah, I see it because of this kind of dream-esque aesthetic they're going for, especially when they do like zoom in on fur. It moves in a very strange way that kind of looks like separate images that are being blended and melded together.
It's like an old like shape tween,
yeah, so
from the old Flash days.
Yeah, so why wouldn't look at this and go, oh, that's definitely AI? I can sympathize with why people would assume it might be.
And the thing is, now that it's like, don't check the comments. Just in general, don't check the comments on things online in general. But like the comments now on any of these videos on Catly, even if they're from like after the fact, that it was revealed that it's not AI. People are just talking about this game in terms of like, I still think this is AI generated, you know, garbage, or all you anti-AI folk are like eating crow now, like, you know, look at how silly you look. Everything's got to be a goddamn war now, so that sucks. But B,
no one follows up on stories.
Well, no, the problem is that we're not going to be able to have trust anymore in a lot of things that are like kind of pre-rendered like this because AI is getting very good. Like it is like right now we can look at an AI video and be like, oh, I can see that is AI. But we are getting to the point where we see like actual art or actual video and people are saying like, oh, that's AI. I can tell from here, here, and here. And that line's going to blur to the point where I don't think people are going to like really trust a lot of CG stuff anymore. Trust
yeah,
a lot
the issue
of
disliking AI based on its like output and technique, quote unquote technique, instead of the moral ground of why AI is bad for art in general.
Right. So if something like looks kind of AI, that is enough to like pounce on it and like get an easy victory with a certain audience. To be fair, I don't like generative AI. I like for a multitude of reasons, I'm not a fan of it. But I think that it is very, very, very easy for people to get whipped up into a frenzy over AI, just over the use of the word AI, or if something is perceived as AI, like this Catly thing. Now, this Catly thing doesn't look great, I don't think, personally.
No.
But, yeah, I think this is a sign of things to come where we're going to see more people just distrust
everything.
Announcement. Yeah, distrust everything, really. But distrust, in this case, especially distrust like CG game announcements because it's like, well, already CG game announcements aren't real because you're not seeing real gameplay. But now people might think, oh, is this pure vaporware? Was there anyone even doing a model for this? Was anyone even working on this? Or was this just like generated?
Is this just like a pie in the sky vision for what they want to accomplish, and they're just using AI to theorize as to what a game could be?
And I don't think this is Catly's fault.
No.
But I think it's indicative of where people's perceptions are going forward with this.
Johnny, I want you to make your point, then I'm going to make a long point.
Well, it's just that because it's now a possibility, you've opened the Pandora's box on the idea that video, audio, images can be not even doctored, but just created whole cloth. Like, regardless of how effectively convincing it is now, even. Because that's the thing, funny enough. It doesn't even matter how convincing it is, but now that people have that idea, and most people don't really, on a grand scale, like, most people don't know what, the generative stuff can do right now. So it's just, essentially, all it's really done is create doubt now. Now everything's in doubt. Because how can an average Joe just be sure? Because there's always that possibility now. And that's the thing we have to deal with now.
It's like the end of The Thing, except one of the guys has 6 fingers. The other one's like, wait a minute.
The last thing I'll say, based on that trailer, and we'll get into a grand point about this, but yeah, I can't tell what kind of game that is.
So, awful trailer. Even if you put all the AI stuff out of mind, it's a trailer that tells you nothing about what the game is, and that forced them to put out more stuff to actually answer questions as to what the game is, and created like a negative cycle of hype around this game that's going to poison it until the day it comes out, and poison it long after that, mind you. And, we're talking about this like the AI thing is new, that people are only now beginning to question trailers. You're all wrong. We've been questioning trailers for 20 plus fucking years. What was it, a Killzone 2 trailer?
Yes and no. Some people will question it, but some people do see these kind of pre-rendered trailers and fall for them and think they're legit and then get themselves overhyped and then get all mad and upset when they're not like that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Like the Killzone. Yeah, like pretty much everyone looked at that original Killzone 2 pre-render, which was literally a internal only target, like, oh, what could be, that was not meant to be shown to the public. Thanks, Sony, for that. It's when you get to the bigger scale of things, there are definitely people who get very excited over trailers and things like that.
Okay, so trailers are fucking useless. So trailers as a concept to me are just absolutely fuck all worthless. They do absolutely nothing but cause trouble. In a perfect world, you would announce a game with a line on a sheet of paper that says, this game's coming out, we're working on it, and then show no one anything until you actually have a finished game. Or even in the case of movies, I think movie trailers are fucking useless. I don't think I need to see a 30-second trailer 2 years in advance of a movie I'm thinking about seeing.
Yeah, that's half the problem, yeah.
This endless hype cycle of everything needing to be hyped for years and then build up these expectations and these little like drip feed of clues and hints so that we can all like use our brains and envision the thing that we want to see. That, you know, this is the game I expect to be playing in 4 years when this thing comes out because I saw this character's arm bend at this direction, which I think means he has a gun hidden up his sleeve, and the game comes out and it's like a city builder. I'm like, well, fuck, it's not the game I wanted. It's not the game I expected, not the game that was sold to me. These fucking liars. It's just, I don't know what the fuck we're doing anymore. I feel like a fucking alien. It's a horrible trailer for this game, and all it's going to do is tinge this thing. Obviously, the biggest example of this, of a hype cycle destroying a game that ended up being pretty okay, mind you, and that continues to get updates, but people don't know what to talk about it. No Man's Sky, a game that famously trailered and was misleading in its trailers, and then had a guy running the company that wouldn't stop running his mouth, that led to just this miasma lingering over the game. And it just goes to show to me that this idea of promoting games so far in advance and giving people time to speculate as to what the final product is only ever destructive. Has there ever been a trailer that was successful in its purpose for getting people excited for a game and not filling their head with these ideas for what the game is, or that actually delivered on its promises as seen in early trailers?
Well, the answer is yes, because so here's the thing, and also I just want to add, I thought you were actually going to say Cyberpunk 2077, which is funny. We have multiple examples that could have been the answer there. I'll say that this specifically happens really bad with the Game Awards. I think it's why, like, over the years I've less and less even watched it. Like, these days I just do something else and then someone tells me, oh, they showed something, okay. Because I've noticed with TGA specifically, they do show stuff years in advance. Some companies have learned. I'll give some credit, like Capcom, for example. They're not super consistent with it, but I've noticed in more recent years, they'll put out a trailer for something and it won't even be like half a year and it's out. And usually those are existing IPs, so the whole point of that trailer is just, hey, you know what this game series is. There's this trailer, and we're going to announce when you see the gameplay. So in that respect, and I'm still a bit cynical about that, but, you know, I get at least, like, you put that announcement out, and that gets people attention, and then they know when to look for gameplay and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, like, the Onimusha trailer, I think, just came, even though it's coming out in 2026, that came out to say, stop asking us about it. It's literally all that is.
Just like for me, is my example, and I have another Capcom example actually. So I guess maybe the lesson here is Capcom's doing some good things with this. With Monster Hunter Wilds, with the trailers they've been putting out, a lot of those trailers have been like, hey, here's the weapon, here's one of the weapons in the game, here are the functions of this weapon, and we'll show it off like in gameplay. Yeah. And like a lot of the, like, there are some story trailers for Wilds too, but a lot of the stuff they've been putting out as trailers is, this is how the game functions. This is what you can expect. It's
like character reveals for fighting games.
Yes.
I think those have been strong in recent years, where they show you, here's the character, here's their aesthetic, and here's some of their moves, and here's like their supers.
But to a broader point, I don't have a problem in the basic sense with trailers as hype, because I like to be happy about things. I like to be able to look forward to something. Like when the Elden Ring trailer was announced, right? Like there was nothing in that. I mean, the fact there was stuff in there, but there was nothing that you could glean like for any sort of like actual knowledge of what the game was in those early trailers.
Didn't stop people from making fucking junk content for years.
Yeah, it doesn't stop people from doing that. But just knowing that, hey, there's this company I like, the series I love, they're doing something new that seems like it's in that vein. I am happy to look forward to this coming out. I'm glad that I saw that trailer. Now, there are people who invest too much into these trailers, and that's true. And again, there's now like a cottage industry of people who overanalyze trailers and stuff. Like, I fucking love VaatiVidya, but VaatiVidya, you did make an entire analysis video on the 11-second reveal of Sekiro, where it was just a prosthetic arm clenching, and that was it.
Yeah, didn't even have a name at that point.
Yeah, well, it had the subtitle, but yeah, afterwards, at least, thankfully, it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. That was stupid.
But people eat that shit up.
You
can't not put out the content out because that's what people want. Because consumers' brains have been trained to the point for years of marketing and then the culture, the nerd culture becoming the mainstream and all this fucking Marvel shit and all this movie industry shit where people are now just like, the most popular content you can make is 10 Easter eggs hidden in the fucking trailer for Captain America Goes to City Hall, and you can blame, here's every fucking character, and you
can blame a lot of things being hand in hand to make that happen, both in terms of like the marketing departments, in terms of like YouTube algorithm stuff, in terms of people who make that content that then gets picked up by YouTube, which is what the market's want. Everything is working together in this capitalist Ouroboros to make like the hype machine keep moving, right?
And I hate it.
And I get that. I get that you're fucking done with it. I think personally, between the idea of having these trailers, these like hype too far in advance trailers, and having just the one sentence thing, like you said, like game is coming out, and maybe here's some gameplay footage eventually, a little bit of it, if that. Like I'd rather the hype. I'd rather have some fun out there. But I agree that. In a lot of cases, it is like a lot of bullshit. People are peddling a lot of bullshit, and I think people need to. They won't. That's not how things work. You can't just convince people to become media illiterate. But you have to. Like, people kind of have to realize or come to the realization that, like, okay, if they're showing me a trailer, that doesn't mean that this is what it's going to be like. Especially if it's a pre-rendered trailer, that doesn't tell me anything other than this exists. Like, and you're always going to fool people. There are always going to be people who fall for this stuff. Yeah, and I think that's a reality. I don't think we can escape the idea of getting people excited for stuff by making these hype videos, because they work. But I think on a personal level, I can still find like enjoyment in them and temper my expectations. Like, yeah, does it suck? Yeah. Does this whole thing of like trying to drive pre-orders endlessly and like this constant consumerism suck? Yeah, it does. To be frank, but we're stuck with it. That sucks.
Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, not everyone's doing this, because in some cases the game genre is not super conducive to it. But like, they release more like, here's a playable like test or a demo or something not too long. Like, Dynasty Warriors Origins had a demo come out. Was it last month or something?
I think so.
The reveal trailer wasn't that long ago, and then the game's coming out next month, actually. But, it's funny because some people looked at that and saw, like, it's a Dynasty Warriors game that appears to be running pretty well despite being a lot more technically ambitious than previous games. Like, oh, I bet they're faking it. Koei Tecmo doesn't have enough money to fake shit in VX. They don't. Like, that's one thing I can at least appreciate about them. Maybe they'd want to, even I don't know their heart of hearts, but they don't have enough money to do that. So when they show stuff, that's why it was so funny to me when people were disappointed by Dynasty Warriors 9. It's like, I looked at it, I'm like, it looks like a game that's going to have a lot of empty open world spaces so that they can fit lots of guys in it when there need to be lots of guys. But when there aren't a lot of guys, it's just going to look really empty. And all the performance drops were in the trailer as well. Like, they had all the frame drops and shit. People were like, this doesn't run so good. I'm like, that's what they sold you. I don't know why you're surprised.
Yeah. I think with this subject, I made the point earlier that I think there are very specific circumstances where if you have an established IP, an established style, there's at least some merit in announcing a game without showing it, if the intent of the announcement is to get people's attention for a full gameplay reveal. I think, and I mentioned the Game Awards because I think this is what really cemented this in me, is that I find these days that when I see a CGI trailer that I don't get overhyped, and I don't get negative and like, oh, this is all lies, this is not what they're gonna do. It might sound very like cynical and nihilist, but you've told me nothing. I feel nothing when I look at this. Like, okay, there might be cool imagery in this trailer, there might be some interesting sounds, there might be some good character designs, but that's not the product you're selling. This is just this trailer. This is a completely isolated thing, and in some cases they are. Like, there's a lot of trailers I can think back to them showing at a Game Awards. Like, funny enough, like the Back for Blood trailer comes to mind. I don't think that looks anything like how the actual game plays, for example. It's like, oh yeah, it basically was just, hey, this is a zombie game that like 2-3 people from Left 4 Dead worked on. Here's characters who are going to be in the game, and that's kind of it, really. So to me, I've moved past the point, you know, because it annoys me when people see those kind of pre-rendered trailers, like, oh, I'm so excited for this. It's like, but you didn't see the thing you're excited for. You saw a CGI trailer that a company was outsourced to make that is kind of like maybe the imagery and the idea of what this game's going to be. And it's part of that's probably been in the game sphere for so long, going through stuff like a No Man's Sky, going through, you know, that early PlayStation 3 stuff. For example, I think of that Final Fantasy VII weird like CG thing they Square made and didn't expect people to suddenly want something out of that. I thought Killzone 2 is the infamous example, but even the Metal Gear Solid...
Watch Dogs.
Not Watch Dogs, actually. Metal Gear Solid 4, that first reveal. Though, funny enough, the final game ends up like looking better in some cases, but there's definitely some stuff in that original reveal that is, you know, like the target render they were going for is nothing. The funny thing with Watch Dogs, actually, is the first time they showed it, I think that was at an E3 before the PlayStation 4 was officially announced. That actually doesn't look that different from the final game. It was the PlayStation 4 showcase one. This is not what you're putting out. But that was a weird case, because that was gameplay. It's just we enabled a bunch of features that we're not putting in the final game. Makes me think of BioShock Infinite, where that game trailers reveal turned out like, oh, we weren't making a game like that. We just made this trailer that we thought would be cool, and then started to change the game to be more like that, which is wild in retrospect that even happened. And I think events like that have made me just, you show me a trailer, but if it's not an existing IP and team and genre where I know everything going in, you know, I think of Devil May Cry 5, why does that trailer work so great? It's an established series, the 5th game in the series. You're coming back after the reboot, which, you know, was very polarizing and came out when a series was on like a kind of a semi-cliffhanger. You're showing established characters, you're showing established moves, and you're using music that's in the final game. Ergo, you're giving that experience, and also a lot of, you know, strap all the trailer was in-engine, even if it wasn't a lot of gameplay.
It's the last thing I want to say regarding all this trailer stuff is we need to go back to having more trailers where there's 4 people faking team play audio over the game.
There we go.
They only talk about the game. They have no outside lives or inside jokes or anything.
This used to be New York City. I've been down this street before.
Every so often, the Game Awards does still do that.
Can't fight the friction!
I was going to mention, because I was thinking of the Game Awards, is the one I gave you the example of, an established IP, that's a good time to do them. I just remembered Perfect Dark. That got, how long ago was that got announced at the TGAs? Like, that had development hell for a while, and then we finally got shown something, and it's like, well, this doesn't look like Perfect Dark.
No, it certainly doesn't.
Like, it might be okay, but that's a case where, like, it's an established IP, and you thought this trailer was, like, hinting at that style, and it's like, no. So, essentially, that trailer was useless because it was announced so far ahead of time that it might as well have not shown
They
up.
didn't even know what the game was going to fucking be.
Yeah.
You know who I think that trailer might have been for, though? Same with the Marathon trailer that came out. Shareholders.
Yeah, that's it. That's the core of it.
That's the real thing, right? Shareholders point like, oh, we know that. Bye.
We spent way too long on that one. Let's move on to the next one. Balatro, the poker roguelike, has been re-rated in Europe as PEGI 18+.